All right. So I was on the phone with Brian, and my computer started acting up. And I said, "Hey, Brian, I sent you the link. You go click on it. I reboot, and we'll regroup." All right. That was 10 minutes ago. And Brian has completely disappeared. And then I realize, oh crap, it's time to start. Still no Brian clicking on the link. So we're going to call Brian's phone back here. Because we're not ready to start the show. Or the shoe, however you want to pronounce it. So let's bring... Oh, and there he is.
It's just a little thing, a little this, a little that, a little... Oh, yeah, that's right. I was going to connect to my internet cable. Oh, and let me get some water. Oh, and Alexa, what time is it? Woohoo! And we're live.
Now, do me a favor and tap the mic. Oh, okay. All right. We can work with that. Yeah, it's definitely a different headset this week.
Yeah, and it's about as uncomfortable as it can get.
That's okay, because you are broadcasting live from the McDonald's drive-thru is where you're coming to us. And
is that what it says?
That's not what it says. That's what it sounds like.
Oh, yes. Did you want fries with that?
Oh, yes. Supersize me, please.
Okay, you want to hear a really embarrassing story?
Okay.
Okay, so drive-through windows, they are terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, I was at a Wendy's recently, and okay, the counter wasn't that busy, but the drive-through kind of was. But, oh, wait, when I went in, there was this couple and a couple little kids at the counter putting together a monstrous order. So they were tying up the counter, right? But there weren't that many people, in line or anything, So I put my order in, no big deal. I'll sit down and wait. Cars go by, whatever. This other couple got their order. They were sitting at a table. After this, big mob left the counter, they got their order and they left. And the woman had left her purse behind. And I said, "Oh, ma'am, you probably want your purse, right?" "Oh, yeah, I think I'll need that." And I just said, "By the way, I noticed that you're taking stuff out. Why didn't you use the drive-through?" She said, "Well, the line was long." And I go, "Yeah, I get that. But, of course, there was those people at the counter who can predict that, right?"
Right.
And, of course, at these restaurants, the drive-through gets priority. You can sit there waiting for your order after you've placed your order, and multiple cars will go by because they get priority. I don't know if you've observed that.
Yeah, no. I know that they'll park a car if their order's taken too long. But
yeah, but no. They'll make you wait so that the cars don't have to wait. The cars keep moving through, and you have to wait for your order.
Well,
okay?
That's complicated at best.
Of course it is. Of course it is. And I get why they would do that. Otherwise, they're running stuff out to the cars, which then you're taking away people from working on stuff. Okay, so yeah, they have to put priority on the cars.
Yeah,
and I told the lady, yeah, they give priority to the cars. Oh, okay. But anyway, so anyway, that was fun. So I did a drive-through at a Carl Jr.'s.
Mm-hmm.
And I got there. I was the only one there. Put my order in for my chicken tenders and Coke. Okay, I pay the money. He gives me the Coke. And I think I was distracted by putting my money away because then I drove off.
You drove off with the Coke.
When I got to the motel, and that's a different story, I go, "Oh, shit. I didn't get the rest of my order.
I wanted some fries with that. Oh, and a burger.
Well, fries and the chicken tenders.
Oh, the
and
chicken
whatever.
tenders,
So
yes.
I had to go back and say, yeah. Oh, and then there were two guys in line ahead of me. And when I got to the box to talk to, I says, "Yeah, I'm that guy that drove off without my chicken
I'm that guy
tenders."
you're laughing at right now.
Yeah, and in fact, I said, and I'm sure you're laughing about it, because well, I am. What the hell, right?
Yeah, why not?
If you can't laugh at yourself, you're an idiot. Well,
Yeah.
you might be an idiot
And,
anyway.
well, if you're laughing at yourself, you're also an idiot. So in this case, you were an idiot either way. But
That's right. That's right. So, yeah. So anyway, that worked out.
But this is another fun-filled episode of
Insert title here.
the show that changes show names so often we had to put a placeholder in place. And
We even have subtitles for shows, and we haven't figured out what this one will be. But we thought there might be no show this week, or
Yeah.
no shoe.
No shoe.
And we kind of swapped deals about that.
Yeah. So I sent Brian some new shoes.
Yes, yes, right. That's right, and that was greatly appreciated. Yeah, and I shared with him the Bada Book Bada Boom story, because that was the motel that I used.
You use yes. So you
Bada Book Bada Boom, and I was not homeless. No. Bada Book Bada Boom, and I got a room.
So you're not
whatever.
homeless. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Is that a
Brian,
first verse, second verse? I'm not sure.
Because Brian knocked out power for
knocked out power. That's right.
For your house, or for the whole neighborhood, or for the block. How many?
No, it's just my house.
Okay. All right. So you had you got the power tools out.
Yeah. So actually, the saw was set up, and I go, well, I'm going to kill some time, and I'm going to
You're going to kill something.
cut this 2x4 into smaller pieces. So one cut, that's fine. Second cut, fine. Third, the power went out. Like, oh crap! Fortunately, the sun was still up, so I could go to the electrical panel / circuit breaker box that's outside the house.
The party house, right?
At the party house, that's right. So I went to the box and I go, well, I don't see anything that's flipped, so let me just turn them all off. I didn't have anything on anyway. And as I turn the main back on, I hear a and smoke coming out of the Comcast box. What the fuck? Okay, so I turned that back off because I didn't want to open it up and have it spark in my face, right?
There's only so much smoke
that would be
in
stupid.
there. And if you let all the smoke out, then you're out of smoke.
Right. Anyway, so I turned the power off, opened that up, and I see that the cable was fried. And there was the grounding block right there.
Okay.
So whatever happened caused the electricity to say, hey, here's how we can get to ground. So it went through the cable. Whatever. But I didn't stop right at that point. I kind of went in and experimented with other things. And I saw all kinds of weird shit happening with lights inside. It was like being in a ghost house, where the lights will dim, go bright again. You turn one on and the other one goes dim. They both go dim. They go full on. I mean, it was just bizarre.
And you thought it was a good idea to keep playing with electricity at this point.
Well, I was trying to figure out what was going on, but you know what? That's not what to do in this situation.
There was bzzting, there was smoke, there was fried wires, and your thought was, let's
play
turning
with this.
things on.
Well, and then I just said, okay, this is really stupid. So I turned the main back off, and let's not do any more damage. Oh, that's right. In the process, I wiped out 5 light bulbs.
5 light bulbs.
And, well, the front porch light, so actually that's 6.
6 light bulbs.
And that porch light also has the motion detector. I think that's fried.
Okay.
Okay, fortunately, the cable was going through a surge protector. The surge protector sacrificed itself to not damage the the cable TV box or the internet connection.
So the internet and cable was you had to call Comcast out to fix that though. But what, they just had to turn it back
Well,
on, or
they only need to fix the thing that fried out on the wall next to the fuse box or the circuit breaker box.
Oh, you fried the cable the cable line,
the cable connection. Yes, it made its sacrifice because in fact the Comcast guys, he's seen it where it doesn't go there and it finds the ground someplace in the house, and that's where you get the sparking inside the house. And I don't think that happened.
So you had outside sparking.
I did have a lithium battery charger fry.
I see.
In fact, it was smoking, and I pulled the plug. In fact, weirdly, I had two of them. These are for the lithium batteries.
You had things smoking that were plugged in your house, and your thought was, well, let's see which lights work still.
Well, but that was in the garage. See, I went in the garage, and I saw that, okay, that one's smoking, so I pulled that plug, but I had two of them. In fact, I pulled the plug on one that was smoking. I took the battery out and I dropped it on the floor, concrete floor.
Okay.
So if it was still hot or anything, it's not going to burn anything because it's just on concrete.
Right.
And, and the other one I had just pulled out and I took the battery out. And I'll look at that later. When everything came back, the one that didn't smoke, I plugged it in, and it was just dead. I took the one from the floor that was smoking. I plugged that in, popped the battery in it, and it works.
There you go.
Woohoo!
So you've had a interesting power event.
And then of course, there were 2 light bulbs in the bedroom that went out, and 3 light bulbs in the living room that went out. And okay, so another surge protector that the refrigerator and the power cord for the computer, if it's over there, was fried. It was just the surge protector in the wall. That plugs into the wall socket.
So you had to call someone to fix the power issue then. Now this was outside the house, so this is PG&E's problem?
Yeah, so okay, so let's get back to the first incident where power saw goes on, the lights go out, I'm checking it out. First I called an electrician that has 24/7 support, and I talked to him and described the problem, and he says, that's probably PG&E at probably on the pole, because that's 3-phase. I don't know if you understand that stuff.
That would be out of his jurisdiction, basically. He's
so you want to call PG&E. So then I called PG&E, and I got the robot, the automated telephone guy, lady, whatever, it.
Yeah.
And the robot directed me to reporting it, blah, blah, blah. There's your address. We got you. Here's this. There's this. Okay, now you're going to have to talk to a person.
Okay.
Okay, so boom, I go in. It goes into that recording that says, oh, yes, you'll have to call during business hours, and that is Monday through Friday at this time, Saturday at this time, but that was Sunday. So you know what? I'm screwed, right?
Sounds like it.
And I tried multiple permutations to it, and no, I was screwed. Although I found out this morning when I actually got a hold of someone at PG&E, says, "Oh yeah, if you just stay on the phone there, someone will pick up." Why didn't you tell me?
Because I don't want you to do that.
Okay, so if Mars is listening, so I know he's a PG&E customer. If you find the situation, you got to call them, talk to them after hours. You can just stay on the line, even though it says
There's no one
not to.
here. You'll have to call back later. Trust me, no one's going to pick up. No one's going to pick up. No one's going to pick up. Hi, I'm a human. I've just picked up.
Right. And in fact, even I got a follow-up call from the electrician, and I explained it to him, and he says, "Oh, I see," because he's had trouble with that as well. Because if he has to call PG&E, he doesn't have a special line. He has to do exactly what we do.
Right.
So this will help him, his service techs, and his other customers.
Oh boy, PG&E has just got to be thrilled with this employee that pointed out this little loophole to you, and it was passed along to all the professionals out there. And we're doing our courtesy to let all 3 of our listeners know as well. If you ever need to get a hold of someone at PG&E on a Sunday, you just hang tight. Someone will eventually pick up.
Right. And the other thing, when the PG&E guy came this morning, and he worked on it for 3 hours, and I thought, it could be as much as the transformer. It was not the transformer. It was a line from the pole to the house. It goes through these tree branches, and the tree branches finally rubbed it enough where it cut the neutral or the grounded line.
Ah.
Or what they call neutral.
You need
that's the one that is critical to the whole problem. I mean, if any other ones went off, you would have just some kind of weird things that didn't work. But that one made it go berserk.
That's the thing that makes everything go crazy.
Right. I've heard about cars that have wiring issues.
Yeah.
If you're test driving a car and you find some weird things happen, do not buy it.
Well, that seems to be the type of advice that you'd think you'd not have to give, but there are some people out there that think that,
right. I mean, you gotta go. Well, okay, so the electric window on the passenger side, that doesn't work. Well, maybe that's okay.
Well,
maybe it's just a switch. You know what? The dealer, if you're buying it from a dealer, the dealer should fix that. If you're buying it from an individual, you negotiate for a better deal. But if you got other weird things going on, you might just want to pass, because if you have to change the electrical system in a car, that'll be really expensive.
Well, Brian, but life is an adventure, and anyone can just get a car that works as it's supposed to. You get in there, everything's predictable, you get from point A to point B. How boring is that? Wouldn't you rather have no idea whether or not the headlights are going to start coming on or coming off or flashing people? Maybe the blinker will work, maybe it won't. This adds some, excitement to your life.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Maybe the radio will turn on, and maybe it'll just randomly turn on full blast and not be able to be turned off. Life is full of surprises. Why not embrace it? I say you find the car with the electrical problems, you buy it.
Right. Yeah, right. Maybe you just go with the adventure. Yeah.
Now I understand your stove is still out, so you knocked out your stove as well?
Yeah. Now, the stove top is gas, but the oven is electric. In fact, I might be a convection oven, so it's heavily electronic.
Huh.
And the panel is dead.
But if you got a gas line and you got a gas stove, why don't you have a gas oven?
Beats the crap out of me. It could be because it's a convection oven, which is different.
Okay, that is different, but
yeah.
Did you pick this, or it came with the place?
That came with the place.
You gonna stick with this?
In fact, the tag on it says 2010. I'm going with that's not that old, at least as far as an appliance goes.
Well, yeah, that's not. So you gonna go with a similar thing, or are you gonna get a more standard oven, or?
Well, I have to still try to figure it out. I'm gonna download the manual and see if it can be fixed.
Ah. Well, did any smoke come out of that when things were
No.
happening? Oh, well.
Although, when I was doing with the lights, the the thing would come on and then go off and on and off. So that was part of the
And
ghost
that's
story.
that's real good for it.
Yeah, I'm figuring that out now. One surge protector didn't go was the one in the bedroom for the TV there because the TV was off. In fact, it goes to a power strip. The TV and the cable box go to a power strip, and the power strip was off.
Hmm.
Generally, when I leave the party house, I turn off all the switches to the TVs, to everything. The only thing that's left on is the router because I have a Nest thermometer. And so, when I'm in the main house, I can turn the heat on here so it'll be warm by the time I get here. Otherwise, it'll be 55 degrees.
Right.
Right. In fact, kind of the bitch is, it was, I actually turned the heat on a little bit late. So when I got here, it was about 65 degrees. Then I was fiddling around. It was probably close to 70 degrees when the power went out. Okay, so that was totally wasted.
Yeah, that was a waste because then you were like, why sleep in a house with no power for a night when you can go to a hotel?
Bada book, bada boom, right?
Yeah, why didn't you just crash in the dark?
Because it would have been very cold.
You got blankets, right?
Well, I kind of go, okay, so the rate posted for this motel was $89. That was worth it. Hey, and included free breakfast.
Oh, well, there you go. So wait, what time did the power go out?
It was probably 4 in the afternoon.
Okay, and what? How cold does it get at night there right now?
I would guess around 50,
50. Okay.
something like that.
You definitely want to bundle up with some blankets with that.
Yeah. I mean, when I got back to the house this morning, the house was at around 55, I think.
Heck, I would have probably driven, to Danville, crashed there, and but
And I considered that, but I wanted to be here so I could get
right,
right on the case.
It'd be a bunch of back and forth, but anyway, so Brian.
Well, I mean, it's 2 hours, and you've got rush hour traffic.
Oh, there is. Well, you could beat the rush hour if you get up earlier. Well, no, okay, all right.
Get up earlier? Why? I'd rather spend the $90 and be in a motel.
All right, well, let's check out this.
And it's possible that I could get all of these expenses, including the oven,
mm-hmm.
and see if I can get PG&E to pay for it.
Oh, because it was there. Well, then again, it was your tree, and
well, that's kind of the debate. Actually, the Comcast guy suggested, hey, I'm going to throw him under the bus, right? Suggested that I just try it, because what can they do? They could just say, no, we don't think so.
Oh, it's worth trying, but my thought is the answer is going to be, well, that's your responsibility to maintain your tree from interfering with our power lines, and we should bill you. They probably won't do that though.
For the 2-hour service deal, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually did think of that.
But let's check out the hotel you stayed at, because he sent us a little clip about the hotel you stayed at. So.
Bada boom, bada bing. Next guy says to me, bada boom, bada bing is getting kicked right in the fucking nuts.
So tell us your big idea for getting the whole country booking on choicehotels.com.
4 words. Bada book, bada boom.
Bada boom, motherfucker!
Get the lowest price on our rooms, guaranteed. When you book direct at choicehotels.com. Book now.
So George Carlin does not approve of your choice. So you book through there, And
Well, no, actually, I went to the place and I noticed, oh, this is a Choice Hotel. Bada book, bada boom, right?
but Choice Hotel is a website to book through several different hotels.
Yeah, but they're all owned by the same company.
Okay. Well, what flavor were you at? Comfort Inn, Sleep Inn, Quality Inn.
I think it's a Comfort Inn.
Comfort Inn.
I think.
Okay. And how was the TV?
It was okay. It was it's on a Dish network.
Oh, okay. So you found something good to settle in and pass the time until sleep gave to you.
Right.
Or did you do other stuff?
Watched a little Big Bang Theory.
I managed to find a way to make this conversation even more boring than it already was. Let's talk about the hotel TV channels.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes, that's right. Because, who doesn't get direct TV? Oh, that's right. I'm on Comcast.
Yeah, me too.
So when the cable guy was done, we said, okay, let's check out the TV connection and the internet. I turn on the TV, and it goes straight to the first Star Wars movie. Perfect!
Oh, there we go. There we go.
And I don't even know what channel that was. That was what was on.
Was it special edition with the added extended scenes and the digital?
I have no idea. I didn't watch it long enough.
Ah, okay.
And then the internet came right up. So, yee-hoo!
It's like, oh, never mind that. Here's the real thing. So, yeah. I guess this is what I have to look forward to entering into the world of home ownership, as I've now signed more documents.
All right. What did you sign?
That's a good question.
Your third child to...
I signed the kind of a document that maybe you should have a lawyer look over, but I spent a lot of time reading it, and it all makes sense and looks like standard stuff to me. And so I did have a lawyer look. Well, no, it's pretty much the agreement that we're doing this, and we're setting the close date for April 16th, and in the event of this, then this, like the seller is required to bring a title or have a clean title, or no, I don't know, not bring a title, but basically certain circumstances and conditions that have to be met. It's not like you just meet someone that goes, "I totally own this house. Give me
now."
money.
Is a title company handling the paperwork?
There are people handling things, and
you don't know who they work for.
There's going to be closing fees, and we've all be settled out how that's being paid for.
Now,
so
some of the houses that I've purchased, when you bring that check, the check, and they hand you the keys, that's typically done at a title company. At least that's in my experience.
Okay.
You go to a title company that handles all of the here's this, here's that, here's the money.
At some point, someone will tell me where I'm going at what time on April 16th, and I will go there, and there'll be signatures, there'll be a check written, and
you'll be happy.
And I'll be happy. That is my understanding. Now there's one little small minor thing. I have a checkbook, and now I opened up a checking account with the First National Bank of Damariscotta shortly after I started working for them.
Damariscotta?
Damariscotta, yeah.
Is that a town in Massachusetts?
No, that's a town in Maine.
Oh, that's your bank in Maine?
Yeah. And
okay.
I never closed that account when I moved to California. When I moved to California, I drew the account down to 13 cents or something like that, and left those 13 cents in that account. And with interest, it came to be worth 14 cents in the 8 years. That's not the point of this story. Actually, I don't think I accrued any interest on that. Although I do have a free checking account that is interest-bearing, because that was a perk that was available to me as an employee of the bank, and they never changed the type of account after I stopped working for the bank. And so I let the account, go, what's the word when you don't use it and they put a like freeze on it or whatever that you'd have to reopen it. It went stale. It went abandoned. It went. There's a word for that when you have an account that you don't use for a long time.
I know what you're saying, but I can't think of that either.
But
See, we're on the same wavelength. We don't know shit.
Yeah. Now, if you out there know the word I'm looking for, that's NHB Live through AOL Instant Mess. Oh wait, NHB Live through Skype. At NHB Radio on Twitter. And also you could send a carrier pigeon. So yeah,
is the AOL Instant Messenger now dead?
Yeah, it's dead.
Okay, I forgot what the drop dead date was.
It was like December.
I assume that you could still have an AOL email account.
Yeah, they still do that. But
why did they get rid of the Messenger?
Because no one was using it.
We were using it. Dang.
No, we weren't. It's one of those things that you think you're using it, but you're not really.
Right.
Everyone's using like Facebook and Twitter and things like that. And as people were, transitioning over to messaging their friends on Facebook, their AIM accounts just kind of dwindled. And I got to a point where I realized there were only two people I was communicating with through AOL Instant Messenger. One was Addie, who I'm Facebook friends with, and we communicate there. And one was Dune, who I'm also Facebook friends with and communicate there. But for some reason, we used both of them. And it was just something that all three of us still had it turned on. And I realized I don't even know why I had this turned on. These are the only two people I talk to there, and I could talk to them over there too. And Addie, well, he was just stubborn. He had 500 different AIM accounts because go ahead. You try blocking Addie on AIM. Good luck with that. So, because he'd just fire up another account and keep right on messaging.
Right. Well, I mean, this is what people on Twitter do. If their account gets shut down, they've got another one. In fact, then it'll open up again, and they call that Twitmo.
Mm.
Well, hey, you go into Twitmo, you have that other account, so you can bypass it.
There you go.
And that's kind of standard.
So where was I going with this? Yeah, right in. If we don't. So when I moved to California, of course, I did the logical thing, and I opened up a free checking account with the best option at the time was Washington Mutual. And boy, was that a smart idea, opening up a checking account with Washington Mutual in 2008. And so that went tits up. Although I got to say, Washington Mutual had an interesting way of operating banks. You walked into the branch, and there were a bunch of desks, like a circle of teller stations just out in an open area. And you just walked up to a person at this little table, and you did your transaction. And if you had cash back, they handed you a ticket that you walked up to a machine and fed the ticket into, and the cash would spit out because they don't have anything separating you from their drawers or whatever. So it's like, gee, this isn't very secure having tellers just out in the open like this. Oh, they don't have the cash. The machine's got the cash.
That's right. They got nothing, man.
But it was just like, trying to be like,
now, what if you brought a bunch of money cash to them?
Well, I think they actually, I don't know. I think they had a drawer if they needed to do some type of cash thing, but it was a very limited type of amount of cash, smaller amount, minimum.
Or did they give you a ticket and say, oh, take your cash to that machine, and it sucks it in?
Well, you know what? I mean, it's quite possible that their teller stations could have had some kind of a drop that was behind some type of a safe door that you could drop. Dropping cash into something out in the open is not a problem. It's having something that's easily open to retrieve cash out of in the open that's the problem.
Right. Oops, I dropped my watch into the drop drawer, whatever you call it.
Yeah, because when I was working for the first,
here's proof.
Yeah, because when I was working for the first as a teller, the head teller would have a little vault underneath one of their drawers because the vault teller is allowed to have more cash out of the vault than standard tellers, but you still don't only want to have a certain amount of cash in your drawer. There are policies on how much cash you have in places because people did all these calculations about risk and blah, blah, blah. That way, if you get robbed, your loss is only so much. And so the vault teller, to have easier access to cash, would actually have a drop vault at her station, and there's an opening in one of the drawers that you could, drop things into, but you couldn't retrieve it out of. And so, yeah, having a drop vault is making deposits no problem. You can always
think
make
some retail stores also have a drop vault.
Oh yeah, drop vaults are totally a thing. That way, if you retail is definitely a situation where you want to have drop vaults because you got more cash coming in than going out. So
right.
you get 4 hours into your shift. That's a lot of cash in that register. Someone tries to hold you up, then that's a lot of cash that could get carried out of that register. So you have a drop vault right there. You count out a certain amount, drop it there, and then there's less cash out in the open for someone to grab and run.
Right.
So what you really want to do is do a hostile takeover with lots of guns and masks and everything, and make someone open up the vault and grab all the cash. If you're gonna do a bank robbery, do it right, okay? Which is so dated, actually. Bank robberies.
Actually, in fact, you kind of go, why are there any bank robberies anymore? Because they don't really get that much.
I mean,
once in a while you hear about a bank robbery. It's like, really?
That's so.
You're the idiot. The best robbery is the inside job.
Well, no, the best robbery is like some type of an online banking scam.
Right.
Like,
right.
Like I talked about when I worked for the First, there was a database that was in use for people that signed up for an online banking account, and this was something that was outsourced to a third-party company. We had no control about this or no idea about this, but the sign-up process for your online banking kept that data, which included your name, your account number, your social security number, and a SQL database that was not completely patched and up to snuff. And there's a thing called SQL injection that allows you to compromise, basically get the data out of the SQL database. It took them months of attacking this, actually. After the fact, you start looking at things and you're like, whoa, oh my God, they the past 3 months they've been, working at this. And we had no clue until after they got the database and started sending mass mailings out to customers saying there's a problem with your account. Please click here and log into your account to fix it. And it took you to a dummy site that looked like our site, and they got people's, username and passwords through there, and they were able to transfer money out of people's savings account into their checking accounts. They were able to make up dummy cards and go up to ATMs and start making cash withdrawals. And they got far more out of that than they would have gotten walking into a branch with a gun. So, if you're going to rob a bank,
sure.
If you're going to rob a bank, make sure the getaway car has an 8-track deck, because that's how up to date you are on things.
Right.
That's so obsolete.
What I find interesting is that we now have credit cards with the chip, which is supposed to be more secure. Everything about it is not better. When you use it at the register and you put the chip card in the slot, it takes longer.
Well, yeah, because you can't. The swipe, you just swipe it, and your part's done. Whatever time it takes for it to process that, what do you care? But the chip.
Well, no, but even that was quicker because it didn't have as many checks. Maybe it's better internally, but it's a lot slower. We have newer technology, and then of course it has that series of beeps. Oh, what do the beeps mean? I don't know robot language. Sorry, Alexa.
I don't know. I don't hear.
I don't know robot language.
I put it in and it just goes beep 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 to alert you it's time to take the card out. That's the only beep I ever get. But anyways, so the point is that account was still open, and so when I moved from California back here, by then Washington Mutual was acquired by Chase. There was a Chase Bank in New Jersey I was able to go to, close my account, get my cash, get my check, and everything. And
did you close it while you're still in California?
No, I closed it from New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
They have a Chase in New Jersey, so I closed it there on my way before we drove back up to Maine. because the closest Chase Bank to Maine is in.
Oh, that's
Boston.
right. You moved to Maine initially, and of course, Chase doesn't go into the boonies.
Right. So I basically reopened my first checking the First National Bank of Damariscotta checking account because it was still open. It had just gone, stale or whatever. And so I was able to reopen that, reestablish that, transfer my money into there. And when I moved down here, it happened so fast that I didn't have time to think about opening up a checking account here. Plus, I didn't know how long I was staying in this area. I took a contract job down here temporarily.
Right.
Maybe I'll still job hunt in Maine, or maybe I'll job hunt in
Now,
Jersey.
let me ask you this: when they reopen the account, blah 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 blah, do you still have that fancy employee account?
Oh yeah. I'm still
Okay. Fantastic.
I'm still no minimum interest bearing free checking account.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay,
there you go.
Continue. So you get there and you decide.
Well, I needed to set up direct deposit with my job, so I did that, and I just kept using that because there's very little I need
back
to,
in Maine.
right. There's very little I need to do that requires having a branch of a bank nearby. My job direct deposits into it.
I mean, I rarely see a teller either.
Yeah.
I'm with you, man.
Now,
I was talking to my brother this weekend, and he says he will not use an ATM machine, although his wife does.
Oh, okay. So, now the only pain is that getting cash is a little annoying because any ATM I use here is going to charge me a fee since I'm not banking with the bank that uses whose ATM it is. So I had to do cash back transactions with my debit card anytime I need cash. So I just got to plan ahead a little bit. And usually what I'll do is I'll do I forgot the heavy cream. And Kristen wheels the carts to the car. I go back, I grab the heavy cream, I go to the self-checkout, boop, cash back, debit, and there you go. So, because I don't feel like going up to the regular checkout and say I'd like to pay for this separately, because I generally run all my groceries through my Amazon credit card, which I pay the balance every month, and so that gives me free purchases on Amazon. So, I'm not gonna. So I just want to ring one thing up with the debit card to do the cash back.
Is there like a percentage that you get on with the Amazon credit card? What is the basic deal?
It varies, but yeah, there's a point system that it gets, and I think things I buy through Amazon get like triple points, or but yeah, the point is that I do get like generally, every few months or so, I've got $20 or $30 worth of points that I could buy stuff with on Amazon. Heck, this month, I need to get the older car back on the road again, and there was an incident with that car that involved a side mirror being removed and a crack being put in the windshield. So I need to get the windshield replaced, but I need to get a new side mirror and attach it. And so I actually got for free through Amazon using my points a replacement side mirror.
Don't you hate it when those parked cars just reach out and whack your mirror?
Well, there was a mailbox that came out of nowhere. And I was.
Oh, it's the mailbox. Whacked your. Oh, I see.
So
no, I thought you were driving to work and the parked car whacked your mirror and took out its own.
No, I never.
Is that a different incident?
No, that was.
Did I understand that wrong? Was this an individual's mailbox or the big blue box?
This is how Kristen got to meet her parents' neighbor. Hey, about your mailbox,
Oh, I see. Oh, you mean so you weren't behind the wheel?
That's I wasn't in the car.
You just threw Kristen under the bus.
I wasn't going to tell that part of the story, but you asked.
Oh, bummer. Okay. No, Mom's word, man. I won't tell us.
So I use Amazon points.
Wait a minute. I think we just did.
So I use Amazon points to get a replacement mirror and to get a ratchet set so that I can install it. So now I have another tool to add to the toolbox.
A ratchet set? Oh, man. So a power drill. Now, is the battery charged in the power drill?
Yes, because I used it yesterday.
Right, and you keep it kind of handy with the charger.
Yeah.
That's our Ryobi, right?
Yeah.
Kind of greenish color.
Bluish, yes.
Right.
So.
Oh, this is the older one with the nickel metal hydride?
Sure. Anyways, meanwhile...
Because the newer one is that light green that's lithium batteries.
So back to the checking account.
Yeah.
So the point is that...
We don't want to be distracted from the main story, right?
Basically, when I opened this account, I got a box of checks. And the box of checks came with me to California. The box of checks came with me back to the East Coast somewhere. And they came with me to Massachusetts. And so it was time for the house inspection. And I went and I did a house inspection. And they did everything and all, check everything out. And, between the house inspection and the radon test, it came to $735. And I pulled out my checkbook and I wrote them a check for $735. And I tore off the check, and underneath that was a deposit slip. And
oops, last one.
Yeah, this is this could be a problem because I don't remember the last time I saw my box of replacement checks. And I'm going to have to write it. I knew that I have another deposit that I have to write a check for coming up soon, not to mention the closing. But the closing's not till April 16th. But
now, do you deposit checks through your phone?
Yes, I can do that.
Cool. Yeah, I do that all the time now.
Yeah.
Not that I get a lot of them. It's convenient. You don't have to see the person.
So the point is that on my list of house things to do, I've not been given detailed instructions or whatever, but today was the date that I was supposed to sign some papers, and sure enough, they sent me some e-documents today, and I read through them and think I understand them, and did all the signing and initialing and submitted that. And tomorrow, I'm supposed to write a $4,000 second deposit check, and I don't have any checks in my checkbook, and I called the bank last week and I said I need to order checks, and they do. Luckily, months ago, I did fill out the paper and mail it into them to update my address to my current address on my account, so they can mail checks to this address. And I'm like, can I put a rush on that? And they're like, well, the rush is $35. The normal time without the rush, they should get there within a week. You probably don't need the rush. I'm like, oh, okay, a week, okay, all right, I can handle that. So here I am, still no checks, and I really hope a box shows up in the mail tomorrow, or I'm going to have to do some splaining to the real estate agent going, could you buy me a few days before I have to write this $4,000? I totally have the money. I'm waiting for checkbooks to show up in the mail. I don't think this is going to cause the whole deal to go tits up. I don't think the seller is going to be like, that's it, I'm not selling you because you don't have a check today. I've already paid the first deposit. We've signed all the paperwork, right. So we're pretty far into this, but I really don't want to have that conversation. So
sit there at the mailbox in your underwear, right? I'm not sure why you'd be in your underwear, but that would make it silly, right?
That would be silly. No, I'm going to sit there stark naked.
Oh, by the way, I was watching this show. When you're in Ireland, when you say you want to buy a pair of pants, they're thinking underwear.
Yeah, because
so no pants
trousers.
No pants day is the same as going commando.
Yes, because trousers. It's trousers.
Correct. Right. Or yeah. Bizarre.
Pants.
They screwed up our language. Oh,
pants are underwear. Trousers is pants.
Right. But now that's Ireland. What about England? What did they do?
It's the same deal.
So they're screwing up our language. The British as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I overheard a conversation about a British guy talking about translation issues dating an American, because when I think about what I'm wearing here, these are trousers. Pants is what I'm wearing under them, and
right. So and I assume that that's also the case in Singapore, but I never came across that.
You never asked someone about their pants and see how they reacted.
No.
Now here's an interesting one.
And I assume that's also true in Australia.
Here's an interesting one that Gothard found out. Gothard likes to wear different old-timey hats, like just they're nice looking hats. You can find them at Goodwill. And he has one that's a very nice looking hat that's green. And he wore it to his massage therapy class one day. And one of his friends in the class, who is Asian, she kind of discreetly at some point made a comment to him going, "Oh, by the way, you might want to rethink the hat." And he's like, "Why? Is there something wrong?" "Well, green's not a good color for a hat." And she was kind of a little embarrassed by this, like she's like, it means something bad. But I don't think she actually told him. I think he had to actually go Google it. And apparently, let me Google this so I get this right. Apparently, wearing a green hat suggests that you're a cuckold.
What?
Let's see. In China, wearing a green hat is an expression that Chinese use when a woman cheats on her husband or boyfriend because the phrase sounds similar to the word for cuckold. This apparently dates back to the Yuan dynasty, when the relatives of prostitutes were forced to wear green hats.
But that's if a woman would wear it.
No. Basically, wearing a green hat suggests that your wife is cheating on you.
Oh, that the wife is cheating on him.
Right. If you're given a green hat by your significant other, then the news is probably not good. To wear one is to be a bit of a dim idiot. In addition to giving someone shoes or a watch, is also known as it signifies that relationship is coming to an end.
So St. Patrick's Day might be a little bit awkward in Asia, any Asian countries?
If you celebrate with a green hat.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of typical anyway.
So, yeah, basically, the idea, I guess...
See, we're learning so much on this show. Holy shit.
So
Start writing it all down, man.
It's some kind of a thing that, if your wife gives you a green hat, don't just go happily wearing it around town. And so Seth, being Seth, decided he had to test this theory. So the next time he came here and visited, after hearing about this supposed meeting of a green hat, every time he comes and visits, we go into Chinatown to get dim sum. And then usually we hit a few Asian markets to buy some stuff and then continue on to some record stores. And so he wore the green hat into Chinatown. And sure enough, he got a few strange looks here and there. No one said anything, and it wasn't super bad, but yeah. He was getting some looks like green hat. I can't believe he's wearing that hat. Not to mention the fact that it was me, Kristen, and Gothard, three of us hanging out together, and he's wearing the green hat. So it was quite an image for some people.
So they're probably guessing, let's see now, the woman, of course, since there's only one, must be the wife. And the other guy is the guy that she's treating, that she's sleeping with.
Right. I'm not wearing the green hat, so she's sleeping with me.
That's right. It's all true.
and Gothard, that would make Gothard the cuckold. And so there you go.
I don't know what cuckold means. Do I have to look that up?
Well, let me see if I can. That's what it means. That you're being cheated on and you're unaware of it, or something like that. The husband of an adulteress, often regarded as an object of derision. Cuckold.
How's that spelled?
Cuckold. So yeah, cuckold.
I'll be darned.
It's totally a thing.
It's totally a thing, and you're not a liar. Not that I was thinking you were one. I just didn't know what that meant, and I had to look it up for myself.
There, now you learned something. I've now taught you about teabagging and cuckold.
That's right, teabagging, true.
I had to explain teabagging to Brian here when before it was the tea party and it was the teabaggers, and then they started trying to figure out why everyone was giggling at them, and I had to explain to Brian the deal with teabagging.
Okay, so we talked about the egghead thing with the state of Connecticut sales tax, right?
Right.
Or actually, it's use tax. And some of the people on Twitter were bitching about it, boycott, egghead, this is terrible, this is not right, blah, 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 yeah, whatever. Get used to it, buddy. And I suggested people, well, you could always send the state of Connecticut a tea bag.
Oh, there you go. Bring back tea bagging.
And of course, in your definition, it could be just a picture of a tea bag or tea bagging.
Yeah. You could send a picture of tea bagging.
Yeah, would that be a still, or should you do the whole video?
The video. I'd say go with the video.
Go with the video.
Go with the teabagging video. Send it just right to your politicians, just to let them know what you think of them.
Right. Yeah, that would definitely work.
There you go.
Right.
Suck on D's nuts. There you go.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm glad we had something we could do with that topic. So meanwhile, as I mentioned, I did use my cordless drill yesterday for the first time in I don't know how long. So long I actually had to plug the battery in, but I had to find it first. And then, because, I got the 1942 Zenith radio with turntable. And the one downside of radios of that vintage is that predates the auxiliary input, so that you could add like a another turntable or a tape deck or a MP3 player. I don't know why in 1942 they didn't
probably
have the
would think that there would be anything else to add. You've got everything you need.
Yeah, it plays records. Why would you need to add anything else?
Plays records and has a radio, right?
Right, exactly.
And that's built in.
Right. So I was looking at it because the guy that restored it, he does offer, he does advertise adding Bluetooth capabilities to your antique radios. Because that way, if you want to listen to old-timey radio shows and you don't have a local AM station that's like rebroadcasts old-timey radio shows, you could add Bluetooth capability to the radio and then use like your iPod player or whatever to get, recordings of all your favorite old-timey radio shows. And it'd be just like listening to them on the radio, except that they're coming through Bluetooth through another device instead of through the AM signals. And so I asked him about that, and he says, well, what I do is, you just have to drill a few holes in the back of the case. It's in the back where you can't see it, and it's just a switch to flip it over to that, and I, join together two RCA connections. In your case, it could come off of the phono input because you already have that there. And I'm like, in the Bluetooth? He goes, well, I sell a separate module that you can plug into the back. So basically, he doesn't add Bluetooth capability built into the radio. He adds an auxiliary input and sells a Bluetooth receiver separately that you could then connect to it. And I'm like, I can do that. No, close it up. We're good. $700 is enough.
So this is Bluetooth as an input.
Right. You can buy a Bluetooth receiver.
Yeah, so I was thinking of actually adding Bluetooth to that mix board that I have in the main house.
Okay.
And I've seen some of these things on Amazon. They're about $20.
Okay.
Maybe if you've got one that you like that you would recommend, you can send me that link.
Well, we could have a conversation because I'm not sure if you're trying to transmit or receive. And from what to what.
Oh, wait a second.
Let's have a conversation later. Let's put a pin in that.
No, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to make it output so then I can use Bluetooth headphones.
You want to
Or maybe I want it bidirectional. I don't know. I'll have to actually think about it more myself.
We'll think about that. We'll come back to that. Meanwhile, back in the world of Zenith radios.
Zenith radios, yes, because we're into the future.
So I took
back to the future.
So I took the back off of it to take a look at what would I need to do to add auxiliary input here. And sure enough, there's a cable, a wire that runs out the back of the tube amp. Well, there's a bunch of wires that run out the back of the tube amp and go down the side to underneath the turntable. There's the wires that hook up to the speaker that's in the bottom of the cabinet. There's the wires that hook up to the motor that runs the turntable, which powers it. And there's a wire that runs up and into the tone arm of the turntable. There's your audio. Okay, so all I need to do is snip that wire and basically split that to a switch so that I could, flip the what's coming off of the turntable to either go to a input on the back or to the other end of the wire that's going into the tone arm. And so all I need to do is get a toggle switch. I have toggle switches. And get a pair of RCA connectors and join them together so that way I can easily hook up stereo devices without having to get some kind of a splitter. Yeah, I have RCA connectors that I bought from Fry's that I use on another project that I'm no longer using, so I can rip it off of that and discard that. So I did that, and I grabbed my soldering iron, my solder, and my wire strippers, my tools and everything, and I'm getting situated with this. And the thing is I had to desolder wire off of the RCA connectors. And desoldering is not always the easiest thing to do if you don't have the tools for it. You know, because usually I heat up.
Even with the tools, it can be difficult. So,
Well,
yeah,
Ben
without
Heck
the
easy.
tools, you know, you might as well take that soldering gun and just poke at your eye with it.
Yeah, you know, Dune said, "Oh no, Dune made it sound like that. You know, I've never dealt with desolder. I just heat it up and it comes off and use the sponge." But no, the solder doesn't just stick to the iron. The solder goes every which place it wants to go. And yeah, you can get the wire off and you can kind of try to move the solder around and make a hole again in your contact. But you still got a bunch of messy solder all over the place. And when you got, you know, basically an RCA connector has a hole in the middle and a sleeve around the side, and a connector on the back that's going through to the hole in the middle. And so if solder drips down from that connection to the edge, you've shorted out your RCA connection. And that is what happened when I took the wires off and melted the solder. The solder kind of got everywhere, and I basically shorted out the connection with solder. And I'm like, well, you know what? I've seen Ben Heck use some kind of a wick type of thing that he heats up the solder.
Run down to your Radio Shack because they carry it. Oh, dang.
Yeah, about that.
Dang, they're gone.
About
Son
that.
Of a bitch.
And Fry's would require driving across the country, which takes a few days. So
now, do you guys have Micro Center in your area?
I'm not familiar with that.
Micro Center is a big box store.
Mm.
We used to have them in Houston, and actually, my brother in the Detroit area goes to them all the time.
Well, we don't have that.
So Micro Center is one word. You can Google that and see if they got that, or maybe Amazon carries it.
Well, the thing is, I wanted to do this that day. I wanted to run out, grab
I
something,
know.
come home.
I understand it. Right.
So I'd seen Ben Heck on the Ben Heck show.
Are you Amazon Prime?
Yes. So I've seen Ben Heck on the Ben Heck show use a wick, a desoldering wick, and I'm like, oh my God, why has no one ever told me about this? All these years I've been moving solder around, trying to clean up a messy situation and failing, and all you gotta do is touch this thing and it soaks up the solder. Oh my God, I want one of those. And so now I'm like, hey, that thing I saw Ben Heck using, a soldering wick, I should buy one of those. I should buy one. Now, my soldering iron, I bought at Lowe's. Lowe's has soldering irons. Lowe's has solder. Certainly right next to there, on a peg hook on the board, should be a soldering wick. I just need to take a drive right over to Lowe's, walk right up there, grab one off the shelf. Easy peasy. This will be easy. Why wouldn't they have it? They have soldering irons. They have solder. Why wouldn't they have a soldering? They don't.
So close yet so far, right?
They don't. They don't.
Now, do
Absolutely.
they have the desoldering bulb?
Nope. Don't have that.
Or my favorite, and Radio Shack would carry this. It looks like a syringe, and you cock it with there's a spring, so you cock the thing, and there's a trigger, and you put it up to the thing, it goes boink, and it sucks away the solder. That's the best.
They had none of these things. There was no desoldering equipment.
But that's
at
only
all.
really good for the excess, the suction thing.
Right.
The wick gets pretty much every last bit.
Well, I'm getting the excess. I would have been fine with the bulb. I would have been fine with the wick. That would have helped me clean it up. So no, they don't have it. I go to Home Depot. They don't have it. No place carries desoldering wicks.
Yeah.
You got, and it's like, this pisses me off. Every time I decide, oh, right, I'll give stores another chance. And every time for me to go out to a store to look for something, it's got to be something that I've deemed to be
pretty standard and basic that should be a safe bet, because I really don't feel like getting in my car driving across town for nothing.
A lot of places are. Well, let's just put it that way. Since Radio Shack is gone, all these different retailers need to figure out how to, provide that thing, right?
They're failing. Stores are going away,
well, but
and it's their own damn fault.
They're slow, right, exactly.
Fuck stores.
Of course.
I'm done with stores. I'm done.
Maybe the thing to do though, you kind of go, like you're at the Lowe's and you say, okay, I'm going to tell a manager about this, and you show them. You say, okay, so you got the soldering thing, iron, you got the, in different wattage, and you got the solder. You've even got the soldering paste or flux.
Yeah, they had that.
You've got, you might have other things. You don't have any of the desoldering tools. There's a bulb. There's the other sucker device that's better. There's the solder wick. You need all of that stuff. You may only sell once now and then, but you definitely need it.
Well, and the thing is,
totally need it.
But I find it interesting the consistency among the stores that both Lowe's and Home Depot carry very much the same things. A few selections of soldering irons,
even different brands.
A few selection of solder, and no wick.
Oh, by the way, do you have Ace Hardware?
No.
Or True Value, or whatever it's called?
No, I don't believe. No, we have Home Depot and Lowe's, and I went to both of them. They don't have it. So I basically...
Of course, you don't have Osh, because I think Osh is only West Coast.
Yeah, we don't have that. Basically what I did was I just stripped a bunch of wire and would heat up the solder and rub the wire against it, and the solder would adhere to the wire that I was rubbing against there. And that helped me clean it up enough to undo the short and tidy things up so that I could use these RCA connectors. And so, I basically...
So you use stranded wire?
Yeah, but the wire coming out of the tube radio was an interesting piece of wire because it had both components in one wire. So it was like the core was the wire. Around that was a layer of white fabric. Around that was a layer of braided wire. And around that was a layer of green fabric. And that was the wire that ran out the tube amp up and into the tone arm and then out to the cartridge. And the outer strand actually did connect by screw directly to the chassis. So that was a ground I took it. And so I actually didn't, I decided I don't really need to split that wire. I could just run, the sleeves of my RCA connections to a wire that will also just screw onto the chassis of the tube amp and ground that there. And then I need...
Let me ask you this question. That word that starts with CHAS.
Yeah.
You pronounce that last S? See, because I pronounce it chassis.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
Well, no. I'm just saying. I'm not counting that wrong. It's just different, and I find it interesting.
Chassis.
Oh, right. I'm wrong. You're right. But I always see that word.
Yes, that's one of those weird English.
Why are you putting an S there? Why are you putting an S there?
Exactly. Actually, there's this whole thing I saw recently joking about all of these weird letters that we don't say or we say differently than they're supposed to. This is why, say somebody that's coming from Asia that speaks Chinese or whatever, come to learn English and get so frustrated. Well, in fact, have you talked about different words with MP?
We may have at one point in time, but we're really getting off topic here.
I know, but chassis, right? Tomato.
Okay, so I've ground to the chassis.
Yeah,
and but I had one interesting moment there because since both the wires were like interacted the way they were, I did have to redo part of that ground wire, and the original ground wire from the tone arm. was connected to a metal connector that had a spot to solder it to that was then attached by screw to the chassis. And so I had to desolder that to put a new wire on that connector. And so I basically, without thinking about it, took my hot soldering iron and melted old solder from 1942 to clear it off of there. And I noticed that smells a lot different from modern solder. And then I kind of remembered how modern solder typically has a label on it pointing out that it's lead-free. And I just realized that was the smell of poison in the air, I think, that I was smelling. So that's I killed a few brain cells there yesterday. That's why I say chassis instead of chassis.
Yeah, well, hey, look, I think I still have lead solder that contains lead.
You might.
You know, a mixture of lead and zinc, and I got from Radio Shack.
Huh.
Maybe that's why I'm a little bit crazy.
That could be. That explains
Or
a
actually
lot.
more crazy than you.
Yeah, that explains a whole
So
lot.
you're just trying to catch up to me. That's all.
That's all. Well, I guess you
No,
know
actually,
what?
it would be crazy if it contained mercury. Lead is just going to kill you.
No. And I guess that's something I didn't really think about. If you're going to get into the business of restoring old radios, you're going to have to, heat up things and desolder and solder things. Is this a real hazard of dealing with lead solder in old radios when you're replacing things?
Just think of it this way. When lead melts, it doesn't turn into a gas.
Okay.
At least I don't think.
Okay, I mean, because when I was melting
Maybe
that
you could
solder,
look up the boiling point of lead.
because when you melt solder,
That would be available.
when
Yeah.
you melt solder, smoke comes up, and you could smell that. And so I was like, is that bad that you're melting something that contains lead and you have fumes that you could be inhaling? But you're saying that might not be the case. That
I'm going
lead
into
will
it.
not.
Yeah, I mean, you could be smelling all kinds of other shit burning off,
That could be. That very well could be. You know what? I'm going to Google lead solder fumes.
Atomic number is 82. Boiling point 1749 degrees C or 3180 Fahrenheit. So if you're below 3000 degrees, you're probably okay.
Okay. Solder fumes are pretty much entirely vaporized flux. Different people react differently to the fumes. This ranges from absolutely no discernible effect at all over decades of daily exposure to triggering an asthma attack the first time someone is exposed to the fumes.
Did you have an asthma attack?
No.
Then you're probably good.
Now, people, it's suggested oldsters keep doing what you've been doing for decades. Newbies, buy an inexpensive fan-type extractor with attached filter and use it. Solder fumes aren't very good for you. Some people can become sensitized to flux fumes, especially from the older rosin flux used in cord solder, and get breathing problems. So there can be some issues, but it's not like you're breathing in pure lead, I take it.
Well, in fact, you're probably not taking in lead at all.
Meanwhile, it looks like Venison might actually be trying to call in. And as usual, it doesn't ring. So let's because Venison could chime in on my working on an old radio. And so speaking of modifying antique radios to use modern technology, we got Venison on the line.
First of all, am I loud enough?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And Brian, you're not going to be crazier than Gators. No way.
Hold on a second.
Okay, I won't engage in a debate. Okay, because the contest of being crazier, you're not winning.
It's no contest. Venison's the craziest one here.
And so, since he's the one that can judge that, right?
Yeah. Yes. Let's talk about the Crisco and rubber sheets. And,
does that mean you don't want to talk about that topic?
There's a lot of slipping and a lot of sliding, and
but it was fun.
All right. So, anyways, once I got everything put back together, I now have an auxiliary input, and I found out that I don't know if there's something I could do that would make my auxiliary input louder, other than add amplification, because it's very quiet, and I have to turn the volume up very loud, but much louder than I do for the radio. So I'm guessing that the crystal cartridge in there has a higher output than a typical line level output would be, because it's a standard line level device is coming through very quiet, and that's annoying.
For the radio, you have to turn it way up.
Yeah, I have to turn the radio way up to hear like my playing some tunes on an MP3 player. So I don't know, like, is there something that could
talk about phono cartridge?
Well, no, I mean the phono. Keep in mind, I split the line that's going to the phono cartridge, and turn and put it through a switch. So
phono.
So
1950s, like
1940s. It was a crystal card. It's a crystal cartridge. Yeah, well, magnetic needs a preamp, but crystal, well, ceramic doesn't. Ceramic is pretty much just line level, and so I thought crystal would be as well. But I'm thinking the crystal is even louder because now
it's exactly a crystal mic is around a crystal cartridge as the highest output of them all.
Okay, yeah, so it's a louder cartridge that's louder than line level. So now when I split that to be a line input, I need a little extra boost or something. So yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer that my modification has not worked out too perfect, because yeah, I could turn the volume up and it works fine, but the problem with turning the volume up on a 1940s tube amp is you're also turning up the hum.
Yeah.
That lovely
can you use a preamp?
I suppose I could, but then I'd have to add another level of amplification, which feels wrong to add a level of solid state amplification to a pre-input into a tube amp. That just feels sacrilege. But I don't know.
Why don't you get a tube preamp, level preamp?
I don't know. I don't know what I need to do. But
for something that age, a tube preamp would be the best.
Well, yeah, but now we're getting a little silly.
Actually, I did recently. I'd have to look for it, but I did see a modern tube preamp.
And what's wrong with silly?
What?
And speaking of silly, there's some silly things going on there. But yeah, I know that they make modern tube amps. But I don't know. I feel like that's going a little further than I want to go with this, adding amplification. There should be another way I could add a line level input to this, or I don't know. But anyways, I've found that my AM transmitter is working out better than the modified line input I put into there, which, makes me feel better about the $50 I spent for the AM transmitter.
You can hear the other person back there, can't you?
A little bit.
Nope.
Yep. Yes,
nope.
Can.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope, I don't hear anything.
What's wrong with silly? Honey.
I didn't hear nothing.
But it's mostly noises anyway.
Ah.
It's the ethereal voice.
So, how are things going in Ohio there, Venison?
What?
How are things in Ohio?
We're about to have a snowstorm tomorrow.
Oh.
Another one? Holy shit.
Tomorrow? I thought that was coming Wednesday.
You know, and that's the reason why we're an hour late. You know, because we had to stop at Walmart and do food shopping.
Oh, Wally World run.
You know, so now I've got food.
Did they have any Pop-Tarts left?
No Pop-Tarts. I'll tell you what. There's this brand called Amish brand that makes this outrageous macaroni salad. Oh my God. Tubs. I bought 2 tubs.
Are you going to bathe in it?
Maybe.
Not that kind of, not that size of a tub.
Not that type of tub? Oh, do we?
Yes, he is.
Oh.
Anyway.
I don't know if you hear my wife in the background saying, he's an idiot.
Oh, we didn't need her to tell us that. We figured it out.
Yeah. It gets wild here now and then.
Yeah, and I think cuts in and out.
But otherwise, what?
The audio will cut a few times, but I think it's back now.
Believe it or not, I got the mic gains up as far as I can go.
No, I mean,
really.
Like, I
and
think
for some reason, it's not that high.
I don't know. So yeah, you got the new computer set up. I slaved over that computer, setting up a brand new Windows install, patching it, all the updates, everything. What's the first thing Venison does when he gets it out of the box? Wipes it. Wipes it clean because he wants to partition it a specific way.
Not really.
But I'm glad it's working out for you.
Okay, about the Windows 7.
About the Windows 7.
Yeah. Okay, most of the programs I use, worked. They worked pretty good. Especially my DC++ and, wait a minute. Yeah, the new Firefox. Oh, God, what a stupid idea. Skype works. I finally got my Dropbox on because I forgot my username. Winamp works great, except we'll get to that. My Cool Edit Pro, so I can do all my audio editing. VLC. Now, okay, I forgot about this. This is a problem. This is a weird problem. I put in Sonic Deluxe, okay, for CD-ROM burning and what have you. Worked great on my other machines, but put it in this one. Yep, installed great. All right. I went to go bring it up, and it said the drives are not, the drives are turned off. You must enable them, or it's something other impossible thing you wanted me to do. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? It won't initialize because it says the drives are not there.
Wait a minute. So it said something about something that you wouldn't be able to do?
All right.
Yeah.
So
bring up the programs so I can record.
What? This is a recording.
No, but that's what it said?
Yeah.
Literally.
It said the drives weren't turned on.
It must be the cylinder of your fragmentation.
I think.
But the other part was something that you couldn't do. In other words, like fuck yourself. You really can't do that, right?
Well, you could. There's a lot of folding involved, and bending, and positioning,
and painful.
It helps if you got more to work with, but flexibility does come in handy. Now, what's the name of this program? Sonic.
Yeah, Sonic Record Now. And it works on every other machine except this one. Because 7 is being a little bitch at times. Oh, here's an interesting thing. I went to get TeamSpeak Okay. Got to the web page. Fine. Found the client I need. This is a 64-bit machine, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes, the disc I included is for the 64-bit version.
This is all 64-bit.
Okay.
Okay, so I go up there and I see, 64-bit client. Okay, I'll download that. Started download. It got halfway through it, and I blue screened. I blue screened 7 for the first time.
Well, you did reinstall it with your own partitioning, which is not best practice.
No, I didn't reinstall it.
Oh, you repartitioned.
You can partition it, as it is.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's not the problem. That wasn't a problem. The problem was, like I said, I downloaded the 64-bit client and something went wrong and it blue screened.
Huh.
Okay, reboot. Goes to the motions and decide to go back to the website. Connection closed. You did something bad to us.
Remington broke Windows.
No, I broke the website.
Oh, wow. You broke their website.
But can you just log in again? Or
no, I can't get there.
I downloaded and put it on my server. He's local. He can get it off my land.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it.
So the Sonic Record Now, is that for burning discs?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just use Image Burn?
On discs.
Yeah, it's for burning discs.
You could use,
what have you got?
Image Burn, IMG Burn. That works well.
Gold. I got original discs. I got Easy CD Creator 6.0 that works in 7.5. Even burns ISOs.
There you go. Image Burn.
Okay,
it's
that's
free.
one thing. For some reason, I tried a few of them, like Burn-Aware. Yeah.
No, this is an actual legit copy.
Yes. So are these.
Image Burn. I'm telling you, just get Image Burn.
Where is my legit copy?
My favorite part about Image Burn is if you there's a window that has technical information up that you generally never look at or never read, and if you ever try to close that window, it basically pops up a window that shames you into not doing it by saying that go ahead and be an ostrich and bury your head in the sand.
All right, but okay. So that's 2 programs I'm having problems with. Now, are you ready for the big third? The biggest problem of all?
You opened up the cassette tapes and they turned to dust.
No. The biggest problem with 7, the reason why I went with 7, so I can install this Yamaha mixer with all the doodads. The reason why I'm having a real problem now is none of my broadcasting coders work. They don't work.
What are you encoding with?
Don't show me things like that now while I'm on the air. Come on.
No, save the porn for after the show.
No, I tried Winamp for one. Winamp works great.
Yeah.
And tried the DSP encoder for that, which worked great for everything else. I put that in there, and then tried to bring it up. The machine said it couldn't find it. What? Okay, so tried to go Oddcast. I had an Oddcast standalone. Okay, that worked, and went to properties or other options. All the info was there for my, for the station I use it on. All I had to do was change the password. Change the password. Hit connect just to make sure. It connected for about 1 second, and then it disconnected and shut off the program.
Oh, that's no good.
No, it's not. So I'm beginning to think that either one, these encoders were too old and Windows 7 don't like them, or, somewhere, that's, again, okay, yeah, because you bring up an interesting point. The encoders work in XP, on the other machines, they work fine. But when it gets to 7, it says, "Fuck you! I ain't using this."
I'm using the same encoders I've used for quite a long time, actually.
Which one are you using?
Oh, I'm trying to find a name for it. It's the plugin with Winamp that's got a pyramid for its icon.
Oh wow! You're using using the Winamp plugin too?
Yeah, and here's the thing though, is that I don't install it. It was, you remember DEF CON Radio?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I was with NHB to start with, they didn't provide encoders. They recommended that we get the free trial version of the plugin, and that would let you connect for long enough. But it would be
a few hours.
A few hours. But the thing is the number of time you could broadcast was usually a little random. So there were times it actually did kick me off before my show was over. And I think Andrew,
I had a password.
Yeah, well, DEF CON had a password. And DEF CON, actually, they didn't just post a password. They posted a Winamp installation folder. Or they posted the files that you basically just drag and drop. Basically, I have a Winamp folder that when it came from DEF CON, you just download that folder, put it somewhere in your hard drive, you open up Winamp, and it was automatically configured to stream to their servers and everything. And it was a full version that was unlocked. And so when I came back to NHB, I just kept that and updated the streaming information to connect to NHB servers. And I've been using that Winamp folder ever since, which is its own Winamp installation. And I think it actually uses an older version of Winamp with the plugin. I never tried to move the plugin over to my new Winamp install. I don't know why, but it's just been easier to keep it on its own folder that I just move around from computer to computer as I upgrade things. It's actually...
What the hell is going on here? Okay, guys. All right. I tried going back to my storage folders. I tried another Winamp plugin I found, except it was completely different. And I had no idea what these things were. But they didn't work either.
Oh.
So I tried to find the original, plugin. I can't find it now. It's got to be here somewhere where I can install it and have the machine see it as installed.
I could.
Well, if it works for you, it should work for me.
I could send you something I have and see if it works for you. One thing, though, is my plugin's working on version 5.08c of Winamp, yet my full install Winamp is 5.666, and I think that's from 2013.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think Winamp's been updated since 2013.
I got 5621.
Ah. Huh. Well, I don't think... I think it's whatever you get that's floating around online. Interesting that I've got a newer one than you. But, yeah, it wasn't until...
You get the old, the original ones I use for broadcasting and streaming and listening into everything, including OGG and FLAC, is Winamp 524.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I love that thing.
That's the thing, is that my this version 5.08 Winamp won't play everything I throw at it. It doesn't like larger sampling rate or bit depth files. I'm not sure which one of those specs throws it off, or maybe it doesn't like. I think it doesn't like FLAC because it won't.
I got the DLL.
Well, that's okay because I only use it as the encoder. My 5.6 is what I use for everything else. So I basically have two Winamp instances.
I
But-
need something. I can't broadcast in
You-
7.
Oh well, you keep at it. You get some. Here, you know what? Let me I'll make a copy of this folder, send it your way. But we could take that offline during the week. So meanwhile, did you hear Brian's story about how he made smoke come out of his electric box?
No,
Well,
we
actually,
got
that's my
back to it,
Comcast
probably.
cable box.
Oh no, but I thought you talked about the actual panel had smoke coming out of it when you flipped the switch back on. You found
Oh,
what
no,
was
no,
like
no, no,
grounding.
no, no. That was just out of the Comcast box.
Oh, when you turned the power on, the Comcast box was smoking,
Right.
and everything else was
And
working
probably
weird.
sparking, but it was closed, so, you know.
Ah,
Actually, the Comcast guy was, he was telling me this story. Yeah, and I told him, I wasn't going to open up the box because I didn't want to have to, want to see it,
right.
He burnt
it's like
he
when
burnt
you
the
have
internet.
microwave popcorn that's, starting to burn. Don't open the microwave oven.
Right.
Leave the damn thing closed.
Just leave it closed. And walk
Turn
away.
it, hit the off button or pull the plug, but don't open it because then you're adding oxygen to that deal and that'll go in flames. But the Comcast guy told me he was up on a pole looking at a very similar situation and he felt that his hand was getting warm. So he decided to gradually move his hand away. And then the electricity decided to blow up in front of his face because his box was open and it's right there. And he was kind of disappointed because he was trying to go out to lunch.
Oh, that would
Yeah.
be disappointing.
Yeah, it would be bad. So you had a question there, Venison? Comment on my
No, it wasn't a
Comcast?
question. It was a statement.
Yeah.
I took down the website. You set the internet on fire.
Well, you know what? Here, speaking of like things not to do with electricity, like don't open the thing, whatever. There was a Vine some years ago that greatly demonstrates what not to do with power lines. And it's the great thing about Vine was that they were short videos that just got right to the point, and it was a great thing. So here, this Vine is a 6-second Vine that opens up with a kid up on the power pole, and here and it's got a commentary that goes with it. That is 2 words. And that's all there is to it.
I don't want to see the rest.
You don't know. I don't. I haven't found any information about whether or not this kid survived or not. But for those that don't see the video, kid's up on top of the pole, reaches his hand out. He did. The camera angles are kind of odd. I think we need to do a little pausing to get some frames here. So the camera is kind of starting to pan down as his arm reaches towards a wire, and things start glowing orange as his hand touches wire. Yeah, and so like he's kind of being pushed back as the camera goes down, and the camera keeps moving down. But as the camera's moving down, the lifeless body is falling onto
And
the
the
side
body
of the
is
camera
turning
frame.
to go head first.
Yeah, it's starting to go head first, and that's when the guy filming this makes his one and only comment about this. He dead. He dead. Which I
guess.
Yeah. And that's the type of thing that you go through Vines, you see that, and you're like, did I just watch someone die? I don't know.
Well, I was working at a secure site where they were playing with nuclear weapons.
What?
Yeah. Well, they were building them.
They were building them.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all.
And there was a guy that was working on an electrical panel that was like 40,000 volts, I think.
Okay. Oh,
He got zapped,
That's a lot of volts to get zapped with.
And in a high security place, it's very difficult to get an ambulance in there to save the guy's life. It's like, really? Just fucking save the guy's life. Don't worry about who the guy's secured for that and all that bullshit. Just get them in there and start working on the guy. I mean, the guy's probably dead. Would have died anyway, but
I don't disagree with you here, but let's play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
What if someone faked an injury to get someone that was working for an EMT or ambulance past security without proper clearance due to,
well, that's why you escort
emergency.
the person. They escort people in all the time. Get the security guards. They are the people that carry the guns and bring them into the site.
Okay, that's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
I was just trying to play devil's advocate there. Like,
Sure. I get that. And you kind of think, well, I mean, the flip side is there was a guy that was in IT that connected a secure computer to a modem so he could dial in from home. And they kind of just slapped his wrist about that. No, you shouldn't do that. I think it was the second or third time they finally arrested him and sent some security people through his house, and they found, oh, here's some tapes and stuff from the secure system. What the hell are you doing with this in your house? Are you working with the Russians, actually? What the hell?
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, they should have taken him off the job, the first go around.
Well, yeah, if you're going to be super secure, you got to do that. You got to crack down on those things.
You think the Russians weren't behind that?
I don't know.
Hey, guess what? Yeah, it happens all the time, even today.
Who knows what the Russians are up to?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
This is the downside of having an open society. Unfortunately, sometimes we're not open enough. You've got all this shit going on that we don't know about. And these are the people that we elect. Various kickbacks and bribes and all this crap. Doctors taking money from pharmaceuticals, or like the Attorney General of the Attorney General in New York had a conversation with a bunch of lawyers about some things to investigate, and he decided, no, we don't have to go into that. We're all okay here. And then his campaign funds got a bunch of money from those lawyers.
We need to get the money out of politics. We just really need to, generally the person that spends more usually wins.
And apparently what was done is not against the law.
No. Even things
wait a minute, that is clear corruption, man.
I mean, clear corruption isn't against the law, and what is against the law is easy to work around. We need to get the money out of politics.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting to see how many, governors have gone to prison. I know the governor of Louisiana went to prison, and then when it came out, they elected him again.
Well, heck, you want to?
Well, but he was running against David Duke, so I would vote for that guy too.
There have been corrupt politicians that go to prison, or kicked out for corruption, and then successfully run again when the the time period they're not allowed to run for. Buddy Cianci, mayor of Providence. There is a guy that he was kicked out of office, and then he ran again years later, got in, and then he was arrested for corruption, got out of jail, ran again, And the main reason he lost was because the Democratic candidate basically told everyone, vote for the Republican, don't vote for me. The last thing we need is Buddy winning, because he was running as independent, and that's oh, it's like, really, you kept voting for this guy.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend the podcast Crime Town. I'm waiting for season 2. There's supposed to be a season 2, but
Sure.
season 1 of Crime Town, it's a podcast all about the story of Providence and Buddy Cianci and the corruption and the crime family and all that type of. I mean, they interview former criminals that went to prison or out of prison now. Interviews with criminals talking about the crimes they committed. That's some interesting stories to listen to. I mean, they talk about this one guy that he kept like messing with the police because he knew that there was a police that one of the officers or detectives was assigned to his case and was watching him, and he always would be able to tell when he was being followed. And so whenever he was followed, he knew the streets better. So he would turn down a few streets and eventually turn down a dead-end street and stop. And then this car, behind him is also stopped, and now his cover's blown because, why did he turn down a dead-end street? Obviously, busted. And he just turn around and stare at him like, yeah, got you. A real game of cat and mouse between this detective and this criminal. It's
yeah. The trick is you want to follow guy, but not let him know that you're following him.
Right. And so,
unless you're trying to catch him and then arrest the guy, that'd be one thing. But just to follow him to see where he goes.
Right. He's up to no good, but you got to prove he's up to no good. And so if you're following someone and that person you're following knows the layout of the roads better than you do, they can do something like that to turn down a dead-end road and then stop. And then, well, you're busted. He knew you were following him, and he just confirmed it because you followed him down a dead-end street.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to know where all the police departments are, right?
Right.
Where the building is. Because let's say if you're being followed and you kind of go, oh, what the hell is this about? This guy's following me. You just don't drive to the local police department and police station and see what happens. Is it bad dudes or is it just some undercover cop?
But I mean, there is some real Providence is quite a corrupt city. I don't know, but yeah. So the Crime Town, excellent podcast, highly recommend it. Check it out, throw it on your your Zune.
I was working for this company in Connecticut, and we were working with various construction companies and some outfits that were working on gravel quarries, that sort of thing. And this one outfit construction company went belly up, and we had some equipment in our yard that we were fixing. It was a rock drill. He's drilling holes, put the dynamite in, boom, right? That's a fun job. Anyway, so this was in our yard, and we had just finished working on it. And the sheriff of the county where this customer was came to us and said, "Okay, we're going to put a sheriff's tag on it, so this is not allowed to be moved." Okay, we'll do that, no problem. And then he took the manager's side, and by the way, and kind of held out his hand and said, "Of course, we could straighten this out."
With
a little
fingers,
bit of side money,
finger movement, but,
and the manager was flabbergasted. He didn't even know what to do. He kind of had to say no. I mean, this was a small sales and service office for a large company, and it's not like large companies can hide those bribes very well.
Right.
Like when you're a Radio Shack and you got someone that's trying to, gonna give you some protection money. Hey, this is Radio Shack. We're a big company. I can't give you any money. What do you want me to do? And I just work here. I don't give a shit.
That's the answer we were looking for.
If you're going to shut me down, that's it. Bye.
Or you
Pretty much.
Or else.
Right.
Got to pay the protection money.
Right.
Right. I don't know. But
hey, you like that car, don't you?
Be a shame if
money.
Be a shame if something were to happen to that car.
Yeah.
Be a real shame.
We don't want to see any bad things happen. We kind of frown upon that.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, we are reaching close to the end of a. Oh, I had a fun situation today. Just shows the what's the word I'm looking for? The dysfunction of the current job I'm working for. We've been having problems with our Worcester office not having a working fax machine. That the fax
machine.
Yeah, their faxes that they send keep on coming through with a bunch of lines on them. And so they basically said, we need you to look into this and fix it. So I went out there one day and I confirmed that, yeah, the faxes they send have lines on them. And but they had one phone jack in this room, and they had a splitter on it because they also had a Pitney Bowes postage machine that needed to dial in to add postage. And so I took the splitter out and I tried them one at a time. They still weren't working right. Okay, and that was about the extent of what I could do. And so I spent like the past month sending emails to the guy that's in charge of maintaining the phone lines going, hey, you going to do anything to fix it? Hey, what's the latest? Hey, have you called out a tech out there? So finally I decided, well, let's send you and let's send the newbie in the networking department to go do some more testing. And this way the networking guy could get into the networking closet and check, we could test the actual phone lines that we put in, because we converted them off of their old phone system onto our phone system, and we installed 3 analog lines into there for the fax machine, the postage machine, and in case we need another one, may as well put a third one in there. And so we go over there to check it out, and it turns out that no one ever patched the new analog phone lines into those jacks, and they were still going through the old phone system, which was supposed to not be active anymore. But voice calls were going through fine when we tested. We didn't hear any audible problems, but something was causing connection issues that were making faxes come through with a bunch of lines and jumbled, or the postage machine, 9 times out of 10 the call would disconnect. And so, all right, whatever. So we get some phone cables and we patch in the new analog lines to the patch panel, which it's like, shouldn't someone have taken care of this when we put these lines in? No one scheduled it. No one did a damn thing about it. And then, we discover, hey, these phone lines that we paid to have put in that we're paying for were never connected. Fine. All right. We patched them in. We test the Pitney Bowes postage machine. Postage adds fine. We test the fax machine. Fax doesn't go through. I'm like, oh, we forgot to connect the cable to the fax machine. Connect the cable. Connect the cable for the fax machine. Now, the old phone system was set up so that you still had to dial 9 to get to an outside line. These new lines are just straight analog lines that we had put in. You don't press 9 to get an outside line on this. So I figure, all right, I'll make sure not to type 9 in on this fax machine. So I get a test page. I queue it up on there. I got the office manager's fax number, so I can send a fax to her, and it'll come into her email mailbox. So I type in 1 and the area code and the phone number, or the fax number. And I hit start. The fax machine, for the office's convenience, was programmed to automatically put not only a 9 in front of the number you dialed into there, but also a 1 in front of the number you put on there, so that everyone in the office only had to put in the area code and number and not even put a 1 in front of there. So the fax machine automatically entered a 9 on a phone line that doesn't need a 9. Automatically entered in a 1, and then started dialing my number that started with a 1. And that's how I ended up faxing 911 by accident today.
Bummer.
Usually you hear boo-doo coming out of a little speaker built in the fax machine. I heard 911, what's your emergency? And I'm like, ah!
You know, actually at Tharco, they had a 911 mix-up like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, phone systems...
In fact, were you at that time, or was that before your time?
No, I'm pretty sure I was there. I recall Southern...
911 always has mix-ups.
Southern Cal was dialing 911 on a weekly basis. It was bad.
That, yeah.
It was bad in Southern Cal. I think the night shift every night was calling 911 accidentally. It was bad. But yeah. So but anyways, that was my little mishap. So sure enough,
911, what's your emergency? Brian stole my weed.
Oh,
there you go. So sure enough, so I fixed that up, send in a test page without it entering a 9 or a 1 automatically. Go over to the office manager's office. Like, hey, does fax come through? She goes, yeah, it came through, but it's got 1 line down the middle now. And I'm like, oh, well, that just means we need to clean the glass, but the line's working. And then the doorbell rings to the office area, and I'm like, and there's the police. And sure enough, there was the police, and we explained we were reprogramming the fax machine. It's like, yeah, I see. Oh, I had a fax machine, and then I had to come here and climb up 20 flights of stairs, and which brought me to a real interesting thought. Speaking of the floors on this building, now, you know,
so
how
you're like on the 20th floor?
Yeah, our Worcester office is on the top floor of a building, which is floor 20.
And how's the weather up there?
Well, when it's windy, you can feel it. But it's a great view of Worcester and the surrounding area.
And does the building sway?
A little when it's windy, a little bit.
I have interviewed at jobs where I'd be working up on, 18, 19, 20th floor. And I never worked there long, but, up on those high levels, I kind of like, I don't ever want to be at this level. So in Singapore, when we looked for an apartment, I don't want to be up that high. So we got a 5th level apartment.
I see.
And it didn't sway down there.
Yeah. Well, let me.
And it was above the treetops, so you could see anything. It was nice.
So this office is on the 20th floor. But,
yay, they fixed it.
But technically, it's on the 19th floor, because this is one of those buildings that skips the 13th floor, and it goes from 12 to 14, which is a normal thing. Some buildings skip 13, some buildings don't. Okay.
Right.
In fact, I think that's kind of a dated thing. I don't know. I don't think they do that anymore. I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, it skipped the 13th floor. Now, I was going up the elevator. And you go in an elevator, you hit the button for your floor, doors close, and you get a ding every time it goes past the floor. And I'm thinking, now these dings that go through the floor, blind people would use these to keep track of what floor the elevator's gotten to, so they know when it's time to get off the elevator, correct?
So they would have to know that there's no 13th floor.
Yeah. Is that an issue? The whole 13th floor, is this an issue for blind people?
And if it's a modern building, why doesn't it tell you 7, 8?
Yeah.
It's like these brand new chip card readers. They just have all these series of beeps and boops, and it's not the same language between the different machines. Like, why don't you have a robot language that we can understand and mean something? Or It could speak to you. I don't know if you could hear it because the microphone's not right.
You know what? I think we need
to
add Damon to our call here and see if we can get some insight here. But it won't let me add him to the conference. Why won't it let me add him to a conference?
Because I have another blind issue that we could discuss as well.
Yeah, let's see if we can. No, what the? Let me add him to this call.
Is that Skype?
Skype sucks these days because you have to find a contact and then you got to hit the button. There's no more right-click add to group, and I don't have an add to group option. And now it just asks me if I want to put Venison on hold. All right, whatever. Fine, be a bitch about it.
I take it that meant Venison is now gone.
No, he's on hold. We'll get him back.
Oh, he's on hold. Okay.
Yeah. Damon will hang up on us quickly. Is it
the
ringing?
person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable.
All right. Let's try Damon's cell. Let's see, Damon. No, because we
is that Damon's cell in some penitentiary?
Yes, exactly.
There you go. It's funny that we still use that word.
It is. All right, let's see if Damon picks up because we must know. This is a question that's been It's going to bug me all night if I don't ask him. So hopefully he'll pick up the cell and will enlighten us on elevator use among the blind. So if not, we'll leave him a voicemail. And let's see. I don't know what ringy dingy this is now.
Stop. Hey, what's up? It's Damon. I can't take your call right now. Please leave your name, number, and message after the beep, and I will call you back as soon as I can. Thank you, and have a great day.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, Mojo Man, Gators here. We're just wrapping up our show here. And I got to a burning question that's on my mind that I need your expertise on. Because today I was taking an elevator up to the 20th floor. And as the elevator was, booping on each floor, and as it went from floor 12 to floor 14, I realized to myself, elevators make a beep in each floor, and that's something that blind people could use to keep track of what floor the elevator goes on so they know when to get off. But some buildings have a 13th floor and some buildings don't. And is this an issue for the blind to need to ask ahead of time or determine whether or not a building has a 13th floor if they're getting in an elevator that's going up to floor 14 or higher? And it's just something I never thought about until today when I was in this elevator listening to the bings, thinking about that and seeing it go past a non-existent 13th floor. So is this a real thing? Is this an issue? Is this how do you deal with this? And please tweet the answer to us so I can retweet so all the listeners who are dying to know can know. Dying to know. And hey, Brian, you have any questions for Damon while we're on the line?
Yeah, since we're going to drag this out, yeah, so I saw this person that had a cane with a ball on the end. And this is obviously not the right word because the person was dragging the cane in front of herself, basically to feel for trip objects.
This is fairly standard.
And of course,
so far.
what is the proper word? Because dragging would suggest that it's behind you, but of course you want that in front of you. So you're not dragging in front of you, you're using some other word, right?
I think the word you're looking for is pushing.
Yeah, but pushing doesn't sound right either. I don't know, I'm thinking this should be a better word.
Waving, because you're moving it back and forth, so you're waving the stick, right?
Yeah, but this was definitely dragging on the ground, though.
Okay, so you consider
that's what the ball thing was about.
Because it's rubbing on the ground, you want to use the word dragging, but dragging means behind, so you think that there needs to be a special word for a blind person pushing a cane in front of them.
Absolutely, because I think blind people do deserve a word.
Okay, well, Damon, you come up with the word, and thank you for listening this far if you have. Good night.
He's probably just laughing at us.
Oh, yeah.
Or swearing at us. I'm not sure which.
All right, now.
Those were actually serious questions.
Those were serious questions. Now, Venison,
Yes.
we got you back yet? I clicked the thing.
Did
I
this on
clicked.
hold or
I
on
clicked.
hold?
Oh, I hear a hiss. Venison, you
Maybe
there?
you stepped away to pee.
Venison, you there?
So when he's on hold, can he hear us? I take it now.
Okay, so Skype's got stuck. It won't let me put him on hold or take him off. It gives me the option to put him on hold, but the counter's moving. I'm going to hang up a call back because this is just being
absurd.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Skype. You suck again.
Skype really sucks these days. But anyways, we do try to be
The
educational
person
here.
whom you're trying to reach
And so
is currently on a...
Let's talk about all the things we've learned here. Brian, what have you learned tonight?
Well, of course, we have to wait for the answer about, how to detect what floor you're on when it's just beeping at you. So we haven't learned that yet. And then, dragging or pushing or some other word, I don't know. Again, we have to wait for the answer and the clarity on that. But meanwhile, we shared about pants.
Pants, trousers.
Now, do you wear your pants over your trousers and you look like Superman?
You could do that. That is an option.
Yes, right. And then what else did we learn? We learned about... Oh, crap. I knew I needed to write this down, and I didn't. I even said that. What else did I learn? I forgot.
Well, you learned about staying in hotels rather than staying
Bada
in houses.
bada boom, you got a room.
Bada bam, yeah.
Yeah, and kick in the nuts.
Yeah. You learn that if you stay in a hotel room while going bada boom, bada bang, George Carlin's reanimated corpse is going to kick you in the nuts.
Yes, there you go. That's the long version.
I learned that in Stephen Hawking's final days, they were working on making a replacement for his voice that was identical to the device he'd been using since 1986, which was an outdated, obsolete thing that was a huge deal. How can we replace this? And they finally got something that Stephen Hawking signed off on, because he had identified with his voice by then.
Yeah, this is his voice. Yeah. You can't just change the device and change your voice.
But,
no, you need the same voice.
But
damn it.
It looks like we got Vincent back in the line. So I learned in his final days they made an emulator that worked of these devices, and they're running a test one or a trial one on a Raspberry Pi.
Wicked!
So Stephen Hawking's final days were spent with his voice being on a Raspberry Pi.
Wow, that's fabulous. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Isn't that great?
Was there an article about that or something? Or?
Yeah, I read an article about that today.
Yeah.
Most likely, there's an article about him doing everything last minute.
Sure.
Somewhere.
I watched an episode of Star Talk where, Neil, dude with the long name, was interviewing Hawking. And that was cool, but then that was from earlier this month. So it's like, hey, man, you got him just in time.
I thought it'd be interesting, but it's rather boring.
Well, that show can be interesting to certain people. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm heavily into astrophysics, quantum physics, and what have you, but they just didn't cut it.
Do you actually listen to that fairly regularly, or is that just an off one that you saw?
Come on, I just moved out here to Ohio and just got cable again.
Okay, no, that's cool. Yeah, actually, I saw one probably a month ago where, so he has the panel that he talks to, and then he's got some video clips where he's interviewing somebody. In this case, we're talking about Stephen Hawking. But he also interviews different celebrities that may know nothing about physics, but he'll ask questions that will kind of get them into physics as well, which is cool.
Oh, yeah.
And you see my lighting situation is due to the fact that I was relying on sunlight coming through the windows, and so now it's just the glow from the laptop.
There we go. Well, we've learned a whole lot tonight.
Yeah.
So
that was nothing like I expected.
So, Venison, what did you learn tonight? Did you
Well,
say it?
I've learned tonight that you don't know how to work Skype.
No, Skype sucks. It
Skype
doesn't
sucks.
work
I'm
anymore.
going with that.
Yeah,
I haven't had any problem with it yet.
Skype has to work in order to be able to work it.
It's worked for me just fine.
It gives me no option to add anyone to a group call when I'm on a call with you.
Worked for me just fine.
Anyways,
Except for a couple times.
what else have you learned?
Well, I wasn't here long enough.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us again.
Besides that, I'm drunk already.
Ah. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Be sure to check out NHRadio.com for all your internet radio needs. Be sure to check out Venison Stew for all your other internet radio needs. And I tweeted the link to you, Brian, for that Stephen Hawking voice article.
And maybe we might be able to do it on Windows 7 if I can get an encoder that works.
We're getting closer. All right. Well, I'm going to get ready for some bed here and stuff.
Dropbox me.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and good night.
Seven. Pitch operating system.
Yeah.